All right, good morning. We'll get started today seated on our mats. So come to an easy cross-legged seat. It doesn't matter which shin's in front. And a couple of options here. We'll be here for about a minute or so. So if you feel like you're sitting down on the mat and the knees are way up high, good idea to prop yourself up on something. You could do a block if you have one or something similar in shape. And firmness, or you could do a blanket. That's always nice too, a bolster, whatever you have. Just an option. You don't have to have it, but it does add to comfort for a lot of us. So you can shift side to side a couple of times, make sure you're even on the sit bones and close the eyes, sitting up as tall as you can. So you're lengthening the pubic bone down toward the mat and you're lifting the chest up, shoulders down the back. So you should feel really long in the whole front side of the body, rooted through the hip bones, and the hands resting wherever they're falling on the legs. What I always like to do is go up and down the thighs with the hands a few times and see where they want to settle, where they actually help me sit up a little bit taller, which isn't always in the same place. And then once you find that, you can have either palms facing down on the legs, which helps you for grounding energy, or you can turn the palms to face up, which is good for receiving energy. And that's another one. It's nice to go back and forth a couple of times between the two options to see which one feels better to you right now in this moment. It's not always the same. And you'll start to take a deep breath in through the nose, back out through the nose. Deep breath in. Think about inhaling up through the crown of the head. Slow exhale back out. Big breath in. Softly back out. Keep going on your own. Dropping into your practice, even though we're seated. So it's starting out with the seated meditation, starting to clear the mind, and taking on this role as a witness, observing how you're feeling, and any distractions that need to be pushed away. Hitting pause on everything else. Start to blink open the eyes, stay with your breath. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. And on the exhale, bring the hands down in front of you, coming into a hip opening. So go gentle. We're just starting out. If the mat feels far away, you can always use blocks underneath the hands. And if you feel like you can go pretty far forward, that's fine. Go for it. Just stay away from your edge. Unless you're already really open and you've done a lot of hip work before this, then that's fine. You can go all the way in. Eyes can still be closed if you're comfortable with that. And slowly walk the hands back in. Bring the hands back behind you so that you lean back and switch the crossing of the legs. So bring the other shin in front. Come back up to seated. And here's where you may need to shift side to side so you feel even again on the sit bones. That's important for the alignment of the spine. And then as you sit up tall, bring the hands to the knees, palms down or up. Close the eyes, come back into your meditation. Notice if there's anything different in the sensation of the body with the other leg in front as you're sitting here, staying with your breath. Blink open the eyes, inhale, reach the arms all the way up. And on the exhale, start to come into the hip opening on this side. Bring the hands down in front of you, folding forward, staying away from your edge. So not going 100% of the way in, closing the eyes. And maybe treating this as a bow to your practice and this time on your mat. You'll start to walk the hands back in, bring the hands back behind you, lean back. This time, let's bring the soles of the feet to the mat so the legs are bent, and then come back up to seated. Just grab on to the shins right in front of you. Bring the knees and the feet all the way together and bring the feet in as close as you can where you're still sitting up tall. So you're not rounding the spine. So there's a balance there. And then maybe you start to lean back a little bit and hover the feet. What you're trying to find is the sacrum. So the place where you can balance a little bit, there's like a triangular flat bone just above the glutes. So you can kind of mess around and go forward and back, side to side, and just sort of feel like, oh, wait, I can balance in this one tiny spot. That's what you're looking for. And then from here, lift the chest so the spine gets really long. You're squeezing the legs together. Maybe the arms float forward and the palms face up, and that's going to kick the core on a whole lot more. Feet could lift so they're in line with the knees or somewhere near there. And then some of you might be comfortable straightening the legs coming into Navasana, but just be mindful of where you're at in your practice, whether you're just starting out and how warm you are. Bent legs might be really nice. So the chest lifts, and then we know the chest and the gaze want to stay together. So if you look up, the chest will point up and you may get a longer spine, still hugging the core in for support. So the lower back isn't having to do anything, but keep its length. And then as you're looking up, bring the hands together so palms are touching. You're just pointing the fingertips forward, still squeezing those inner thighs together, and start to point to the right. So everything stays the same, except you're moving the arms over to the right, trying to play with the balance a little bit more, still staying on your sacrum. And then we'll come back to center, pointing straight forward, and then bring the fingertips over to the left. And you take this as far as you want to go. Make sure you're still breathing in and out through the nose, up and down the back of the throat. So you should be listening to that sound. Come back to center. Keep squeezing everything in toward the midline. Chest is lifted. Come back over to the right, just pointing to the right. Back to center, over to the left. Slow and controlled, so we don't want to swing or use momentum to get side to side. Back to center, this time, palms up, back to Navasana, hover, Ardanavasana, which might feel really nice for some of us in the hip flexors after holding boat pose for so long. So heels are hovering, you're still reaching forward, shoulder blades are up and away from the mat, and the head's lifted, core still hugging in tight. Can we take this back up to Navasana? Keep squeezing the inner thighs together. Keep the spine long as you do that. So you're reaching forward right back to where we started. And then hover, Ardanavasana. Extend the legs. Keep reaching the arms forward. You can take your time getting into it. Trying to keep the neck free. So come back up, Navasana, Ardanavasana. One more cycle, Navasana, Ardanavasana. Back up, Navasana, and then cross at the ankles, set the feet down. Maybe you play with standing up without the hands. If you have any injuries going on between from the knees down, skip it, just use the hands. But what you do is you lean back, then you lean forward, press down into the feet and the legs, woo, to come back up to standing. It's a whole lot of core. And then you're just standing in Tadasana at the top of the mat. So that's one of those things that is kind of one of those tests. Like, can you get up from seated on the ground all the way up to standing without using your hands? Fun thing to play with. All right, reach that right arm forward, palm facing up, and then all the way up, bend at the elbow and grab that right elbow. So you're just working those right fingertips down the back. Shoulders in place, feet are hip width distance apart. Lift the chest without puffing out the lowest front ribs and root down through the feet. For some of us, we need a little bend in the knees to feel grounded in the legs. Some of us push the knees so far back that the legs hyperextend in the knees. So see if you can find where straight is and then take it over to the left. So you're just getting into the side body. Keep opening the chest forward. Imagine you had your shoulder blades up against the wall and they'd both be touching. Back through to center, reach both arms up toward the sky, bend the left elbow, grab for the left elbow. Start with standing tall, working the left fingertips down the back. Gaze is forward, so the chest stays up. And we hug the lowest front ribs in, still hugging the core in. Find the legs, feel rooted all the way down through the soles of the feet, up through the crown of the head. And then find that lift as much length as you can get on the left side of the body and bring it over to the right. So you're leaning to the right, stay even in the weight in the legs. Back up through center, reach the arms all the way up, Urdhva Hastasana. So you're standing tall, feet hip width distance apart, reaching up to the sky. And on the exhale, arms come out wide and you fold down all the way over the legs. Heel toe the feet to the outer edges of the mat. So you're taking a much wider stance in your forward fold. Clasp opposite elbows. You can nod the head yes and no a few times here. That helps a lot of us release our necks. And you could sway side to side gently, but only if you don't have any lower back stuff. If you do, it's probably not a good idea. You can try it, see how it feels. Just don't feel obligated to keep doing it if it's not bringing any comfort. Then we'll switch the clasp of the elbows, bring the other forearm in front. Then figure out where the weight is in the feet. Try to get a little bit heavier in the balls of the feet rather than the heels, which is the typical comfort zone for most of us. We rock back heavier in the heels. Then hands come down to the mat, come up halfway, heel toe the feet back to hip width distance, and then fold back down over the legs, Uttanasana. Inhale, circle the arms all the way up. Bring the palms together at the very top, down in front of the heart. Half Surya A. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up to standing. Hands come together at the very top, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up. Bring the palms together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. This time, inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step that left foot back, coming into a runner's lunge. Feet hip width distance apart, reach the chest forward. Trying to stack this right knee over the right ankle. You can always be behind it if you need to, but just try not to get the knee way ahead of it. Then set the back knee down. Up to you if you keep the back toes tucked or untucked. Reach the arms all the way up. Bend that left elbow, grab the left elbow, lift the chest and bring it over to the right. So getting a little deeper into that left side body, opening things up there, as well as the top of the left hip. Back through to center, reach the arms all the way up, hands come down to the mat, back toes tuck if you haven't already, lift the back knee, big step forward, feet together, top of the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, fingertips down, step the right foot way back. Start with your runner's lunge. You want a nice long stride, stack the left knee over the left ankle, keep reaching the chest forward. I always take this first one up a little bit higher. So I'm up on my fingertips. You could have hands on blocks too. That's also really nice. Right knee comes down to the mat, set it down, reach the arms all the way up, coming into your low lunge. Head right over the hips, bend that right elbow, grab for the right elbow, lift up and then over to the left. Back through to center, reach the arms all the way up, bring the hands back down to the mat, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, big step forward, feet at the top of the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, bring the hands down to the mat, step back to plank pose, bring the knees down to the mat in your plank pose. Lift the belly, reach the heart forward. So you get that long spine again. Shoulders are still right over the wrist. And if you look at the hands, they're spread evenly, index fingers pointing forward or out, not in. And then lower down halfway. So elbows point straight back and you hug those outer elbows in. Come back up to the top. So see if you can feel that in the core. Lower down halfway, stay here, chest is open, core is hugging in. So are those outer gluteus medius, the sides of the glutes. Come back up to the top. Lower down halfway, all the way down. So now you're lying on your stomach, tops of the feet to the mat, walk the hands back by the lower ribs, come up for a baby cobra. So hug those outer elbows in here, pull the shoulders back as you reach the heart forward. And then exhale, let all of that go. 2 more, Bhujangasana. Press down into the tops of the feet, lift the chest, and maybe you hover the hands. Set the hands back down, set the head back down. Pull those shoulders away from the ears, keep that space for the neck. Lift up, final cobra here. And exhale, release, come up to hands and knees, take child's pose as your counter. So hips go back, crawl those fingertips forward, forehead comes down to the mat. Finding that length in the spine. And coming back to your breath. Look forward, shift forward onto the knees, tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Any rituals you need in this first one, which might mean pedaling out the feet or moving the hips side to side, having a deep bend in the knees if they're tight, the legs are tight, or you could even take a wider stance like we did at the beginning with that forward fold, bringing the feet out to the outer edges of the mat. That can feel really good for a lot of us who have tight legs for whatever reason. Then start to bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, bring the feet up between the hands. Take it easy, however you decide to get there. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat. Keep the chest reaching forward as you step back to plank pose. Knees can be up or down. You're coming all the way down to the mat. Tops of the feet down, hands back by the lower ribs. Cobra, maybe you come up a little bit higher if you're feeling open enough. Exhale, release, downward facing dog. So you could take plank or hands and knees to get back to downward facing dog. That's a gentle way to get there and can feel really good. Bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, maybe lightly hop if you feel warm enough to the top of the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up to standing. Bring the palms together overhead, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose. This time, lower down halfway, chaturanga. Play with up dog if you're ready, or stick with cobra. Point those big toes way back, hug the outer ankles in, keep the chest wide, and then use the belly to bring yourself up and back. Downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, hop, feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up. Bring the palms together overhead, down in front of the heart. One more full Surya A. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway, chaturanga. Rise up for your back bend. Keep the lower back long. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Few breaths here. Then bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Come to chair pose. Bend the knees, reach the arms up. Ukutasana. Make sure you can see all 10 toes. That's always a good thing to spot check every once in a while. If you can't, pull the knees and the hips back. That means your knees are way too far forward. And that's fine. Just a little adjustment makes the biggest difference. Come all the way up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Close the eyes for a moment. Keep some pressure between the hands so you find some width across the chest. Shoulders away from the ears. Take a deeper breath in through the nose, standing tall. Back out through the nose. Blink open the eyes. Start to shift the weight over to the right foot. Lift the left knee up, maybe to hip height. You want to keep activity in that sole of the left foot. So it should feel like you're going to take a big step up. You'll start to feel that outer right hip hug in, the right thigh start to work, even the core turn on, but chest is still lifted and open. So you're confident as you're standing here with on one leg, staying with the focus of your breath. And we'll step back to a lunge. So start to bend the standing leg, keep the hands pressing into one another. You'll land the ball, the left foot back into the left a little bit. So you have that lunge and then reach the arms forward and all the way up, coming into a crescent pose. Feel free to bend that back knee, especially if you feel like there isn't enough space in the lower back. That's always a great way to bring space to your lower back, and then you can play with the straighter back leg, which doesn't have to be all the way straight. Bend the left elbow, grab for that left elbow, lift the chest up and over to the right. So same thing we did before, but now the back knee is lifted. Still getting into that left side body. Both legs are strong. And shoulders are even. So think about the shoulder blades and where they are in space. Then come back to center, reach the arms all the way up, bring the hands back down to the mat, step that left foot forward to meet the right foot. Inhale up halfway, exhale, fold, bend the knees, Ukutasana chair pose, reach the arms all the way up. Bring it all the way up to standing, hands come together, right down in front of the heart. Keep the hands together, open up across the chest, find that long line through the soles of the feet up through the crown of the head. Start to shift the weight over to the left foot, bring the right knee up to hip height. So you'll feel how that left leg needs to engage to support the weight of the body. And then that right foot is still active. You can even spread the toes on the right foot if you're not sure. Level off the sit bones so that right hip isn't lifting higher than the left. And then we'll take this to a lunge. So go slow. Slower is always better. It gives you more strength. And that's really where the balance comes in. Then you'll reach the ball of the right foot way back to the right. Arms come all the way up, crescent pose. Maybe a bend in the back knee if you need more space in the lower back or it just feels good. Bend that right elbow, grab for the right elbow, lift up and over to the left. Back to center, reach both arms all the way up, crescent pose. Hands come down to the mat, step that right foot to the top of the mat, back to your forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, back to chair pose, bend the knees, reach the arms up, Ukutasana. All the way up to standing, hands come together, right down in front of the heart. Find Tadasana with the hands together, press into the hands, start to shift the weight over to the right foot, lift that left knee up, find your balance here. Take your time, step back, crescent pose. Bend the left elbow, grab for the left elbow, and you can pull it all the way over to the right. Back to center, reach both arms up, warrior two. Spin that left heel down flat, open up the arms. Then staying in warrior two with the legs. So make sure you're even in the right leg and the left leg, heads right over the hips. Reach both arms up to the sky. So palms are facing one another, but you still have those warrior two legs. That right inner thigh is opening up. You're still even, so all the weight isn't going forward into the right leg. Bend the left elbow. Bring the right hand straight forward in front of you, thumb facing up, and then turn the palm to face behind you. So thumb facing down, reach that right arm behind the back, and then crawl those fingertips up toward the left hand. They don't have to touch. If they do, great, you can hook them. If they don't, it's not a big deal. You could even grab your shirt, just try to keep the work of the arms. Still with the head right over the hips, pressing down through the legs, you'll just start to lean forward like extended side angle with the torso. So keep the work in the arms, opening up across the chest so the shoulder blades are even. Then right forearm, right thigh, left arm extends over the ear. Now you are an extended side angle. And we'll take this to reverse triangle. We want to get out of this front leg. So straighten the front leg, reach that right arm up and back. That should feel really nice. Send that right knee straight forward, reverse warrior. Windmill the hands down to the mat, come onto the ball of the back foot, move that right foot over to the right, step the left foot to meet the right foot, back to Uttanasana, forward fold, top of the mat. Inhale up halfway, exhale, fold, bend the knees, Ukutasana chair pose. all the way up to standing. Hands come together right down in front of the heart. Find Tadasana mountain pose, chest open, feet and legs strong. Shift the weight over to the left foot, lift that right knee up. Step back, crescent pose. Bend the right elbow, grab the right elbow, bring it up and over to the left. Back through to center, reach the arms all the way up. Warrior two, spin that right heel down flat. Widen the stance maybe if you want a little bit more length between the feet. And then in your warrior two, reach the arms up to the sky. So you can look to the side so the chest is facing the same direction as the gaze. That might be a little bit easier. Palms face one another. And then you bring that right elbow, bend it, right fingertips down the back. Left arm reaches forward, turn the palm to face behind you so the thumb is down. Bring that left arm behind the back and start to crawl the fingertips toward one another. They don't have to touch. If they do, you can hook them. Keep the chest lifted, stay rooted in both legs. And then we'll start to keep the arms as we lean forward with the torso. You can lean forward as far as you want. You won't be able to go that far. Just keep opening up the chest toward the sky, staying rooted in the back leg. Left forearm, left thigh, right arm extends over the ear. Parsvakonasana. Take it back to reverse triangle. Straighten the front leg, reach up and back with that left arm, really light with the right arm. Send that left knee straight forward, reverse warrior. Then windmill the hands down to the mat. Come onto the ball of the back foot. Widen the stance a little bit. Left foot out to the left. Right foot steps up. Forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Up to you. You can stay here or you can take it back through a vinyasa, going back to downward facing dog. Once you get to, if you're taking the vinyasa, once you get to downward facing dog, we'll just come right back up to the top of the mat and meet everybody else. So vinyasa optional, take a beat in downward facing dog. And then however you want to get there, step, walk, hop, bring the feet back to the top of the mat. We're on a forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, reach the arms up. Ukutasana, chair pose. All the way up to standing, hands come together down in front of the heart. So great way to skip a vinyasa for a flow like this, or you can add them in as you want. So hands together, find that drastier focus, stand tall, shift the weight over to the right foot, lift the left knee up, find activity in that sole, the left foot, and then step back, crescent pose. Take your time. Bend the left elbow, grab for the left elbow, bring it over to the right. Back to center, reach the arms up, crescent pose, open it up, warrior two. Left arm reaches up, reach the left hand down the center of the back, right thumb turns down, right arm comes up the center of the back. Maybe the hands touch, or you grab your shirt, or you just keep working the hands toward one another. Strap's nice, but it can get in the way sometimes too. So I'll leave that to you. Start to lean forward, keep some weight in the back leg so it's not all going in the front leg. Open up across the chest. It's a big pose. Right forearm, right thigh, reach that left arm up and over. Parsvakonasana, extended side angle. Take it to reverse triangle. Straighten the front leg, reach that right arm up and back. Then send that right knee straight forward, reverse warrior. Windmill the hands down to the mat. Come onto the ball of the back foot. Widen the stance. Step that left foot to the top of the mat. Forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. Weight in the heels. Reach the arms up. All the way up to standing. Hands come together. Right down in front of the heart. Find your focus. You're here for a beat. Get strong in both legs before we start shifting to one leg. Shift the weight over to the left foot, lift the right knee up. So this is already becoming more familiar, which isn't necessarily the easiest thing when we first started. Now step the right foot back, find crescent pose. Reach the arms all the way up. Bend that right elbow, grab for the right elbow up and over to the left. Come back to center, arms reach up, warrior two. Spread the arms out wide, find your feet, heel to toe, or heel to arch, or heel to heel with the feet. Right arm reaches up so you can look to the side, that always helps me. Bend that right elbow, reaching the right elbow down the back, left thumb points down, reach that left arm behind the back, start to crawl the fingertips up, see where the hands end up, and then just stay in the pose, working those outer upper arms in toward one another. Start to lean forward with the torso. Keep opening the chest. Stay strong in that back leg. Left forearm, left thigh, right arm up and over the ear. Keep opening up the chest, and that left knee over the second and third toe. Reverse triangle, straighten the front leg, reach that left arm up and back. Bend that left knee straight forward, reverse warrior. Windmill the hands down to the mat. Step that right foot forward to the top of the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Option to stay here in a forward fold. You can even widen the feet or take a vinyasa. Bend the knees, hands to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Work your way through to downward facing dog. Not rushing, following your own breath, but not spending a whole lot of time in downward facing dog. Once you get there, bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet up between the hands. Back to your forward fold. We're all in the same place. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Back to chair pose. Bend the knees, reach the arms up. Make sure you're light in the toes. So you should be able to lift them away from the mat, and then you can set them back down if you want to and just let them rest. And then keep lifting the chest up, but lower the hips. And we'll do that a few times, working our way down to the mat. Keep lifting the chest, lowering the hips. Maybe you hover in a squat at a certain point. This is always a fun thing to play with the toes pointing forward. And then you can start to set the hips down, coming into boat pose. Find that spot to balance on. The sacrum, keep reaching the chest forward, arms forward. Maybe you look up, squeeze those legs together. So you're a whole lot more warm now than you were before. Bring the hands together, fingertips pointing forward, point to the right. Back to center, point to the left. Back to center. So now interlace the fingers. You can keep the index fingers pointing forward. Point to the right. Back to center, point to the left. Back to center, interlace all the fingers, and imagine you have an oar in the hands and you're just gonna row to the right. Back to center, row to the left. Back to center, row to the right. So you're able to twist a little bit more. Back to center, row to the left. So it's like you're trying to get that oar way back behind you so it touches the right side. Back to center, row to the right. Back to center, row to the left. Back to center, reach the arms forward, Navasana, hover, Ardanavasana. Stretch those legs way away from you. Keep the chest lifted, look up. You could even like point the toes if you want to, or flex the feet, whatever's feeling good. Keep those legs squeezing together. Imagine they're one leg. Back up, Navasana. Chest is lifted, arms reaching forward. Extend, Ardanavasana, lower down. Navasana, come back up. Ardanavasana, come back down. Navasana, back to standing. Maybe you bring the feet down, crossing at the ankles, shifting the weight forward, pressing down to lift yourself up to standing. That takes some practice. All right, so back to center, hands come together at the heart, feet hip width distance apart. All right, this time reach both arms up. So back to Urdhva Hastasana. Bend the left arm, just like we did before. Right arm comes out to the side, thumb side down. Bring the right arm behind the back. So taking Gomukhasana arms again, but now we're just standing on our 2 feet at the top of the mat. So left elbow up, right elbow down and back. So becoming a more familiar shape. Shift the weight over to the right foot, lift the left knee up. We're taking this to warrior 3. Take your time. Been playing with this shape a whole lot. Now we're just kind of starting to put things together. Try to level off the chest. Keep those inner thighs working. That core is on, so it's there for stability and support, which is why we just did all that work. And then take it back to crescent. Keep the arms, land the ball, the back foot, rise up. Arms stay the same. Spin that left heel down flat. Heel toe the right foot in a little bit. So warrior 2, but keep the chest upright. Arms stay the same. Start to lean forward with the torso. Keep opening up across the chest. Right forearm, right thigh, left arm reaches up and over. Extended side angle. So we want to get long in the right side and the left side of the body. So think about getting as long as you can in the right side of the torso, opening up the chest, hugging in the core, staying even in that back leg. And then take this to reverse triangle. Straighten the front leg, reach that right arm up and back. Bend the right knee, reverse warrior. Then windmill the hands down to the mat, widen the feet a little bit, step that left foot through to the top of the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, sit back, chair pose. This time, hands come together right in front of the heart, twist to the right. So you can keep the chest upright. You don't have to go that low if you don't want to, or you could start to lean down and tap the elbow. But notice if you took away space in the spine to do that. The deepest variation is to hook the elbow outside the thigh. Make sure your knees are even and lengthen on the inhale, twist on the exhale. You could even open up the arms wide. Shoulders are pretty open today, so that could be a fun thing to play with. Hands come back together, back to center, reach the arms forward and up, Ukutasana, all the way up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Stay here, find your center, your balance. Take a few breaths. Start to calm the energy so we can move through that last part of the flow on the other side. Reach the right arm up, bend the right elbow. Left arm comes out to the side, thumb side down. Bring the left arm behind the back, crawl it up. See what's happening on this side, and then stand tall. Gomukhasana arms in Tadasana. Shift the weight over to the left foot, lift the right knee up. Warrior 3, take your time, keep the chest open, core hugging in, pressing that right leg way back. All 5 toes point down on the right foot. Crescent, bend the standing leg, reach back with the ball of the right foot. Keep the arms the whole time. Lift the chest. Legs are in crescent pose. Spin that right heel down flat, heel toe the feet until you have your warrior 2 feet. You can look to the side. That's probably easier with the way the arms are. Don't look forward. And then keep the arms, just start to lean forward as far as you can, opening up across the chest. Stay even in both legs. Get some weight in that right leg if you started to jump into the left. Left forearm, left thigh, reach the right arm up and over. Best side angle pose, extended side angle pose. Get long in the left side of the torso. Keep extending that left thigh forward, open up across the chest, core's hugging in, so make sure it's not relaxed or puffing out. Take this to reverse triangle, straighten the front leg, reach that left arm up and back. Send that left knee straight forward, reverse warrior. Windmill the hands down to the mat, come onto the ball of the back foot, widen your stance, step that right foot forward, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold back to chair pose. Weight in the heels of the feet, reach the arms all the way up, long spine here. Bring the hands together right in front of the heart, twisting to the left. Keep the chest up, get that long spine. Maybe you start to come down and you tap the elbow. Maybe you hook the elbow. Just check the knees, make sure they're even, and then you can start to get longer and deeper into the twist. If it was fun on the first side, you could open up the arms wide, playing with that. And that's the deepest variation. Only makes sense if it gives you space. Hands come back together. If you open them back to center, reach the arms forward and up, all the way up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart, back to Tadasana. Arms down by the sides. Inhale, circle the arms all the way up. Exhale, forward fold all the way down. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, last vinyasa if you want it. Hands down to the mat, step back to plank pose, or skip it and just go straight back to downward facing dog. We'll meet in downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, bring the knees down to the mat, feet over to one side, and come to seated on your mat. So legs out in front of you. If you're way back, scoot yourself forward so the hips are more toward the center of the mat. And we'll take bridge pose. You could use a block and do supported bridge if you like. If that's the case, you just set it next to the hips, lie down onto your back, walk the feet in. So shoulders are really open today. This could be a fun day for bridge pose, maybe something deeper if you're really comfortable with back bends. So press into the feet, lift the hips up, interlace the fingers underneath you. It might be a whole lot easier than it typically is. Lift and spread the chest. Thigh bones lengthen away from you. Those heels, it's like you're trying to bring them in toward the body so you feel the back sides of the legs turn on. Should also feel nice to get that stretch on the top of the hips here. Look up, keep some space between the chin and the chest. Block can always go underneath the hips if you want for supported bridge. If you take that, you can just stay there for each back bend. You don't even need to come down. I'll let you know when it's time to come down. All right, if you're not on a block, slowly release, bring the hips back down, rest. If you're on a block, you stay there. Okay, round 2, we're doing 3 rounds. Press into the feet, lift the hips up, interlace the fingers underneath you. Use that to lift and spread the chest. And then see if you can get the hip bones higher than the belly. Back side of the body is working to stretch the whole front side of the body. And slowly release. Bring the hips back down. If you're on a block, you can stay there, rest. We're coming into our 3rd and final round. If you want to go up for Urvadanurasana, we haven't done a whole lot of back bending, but some of us naturally, our bodies want to go that way. You're welcome to do it, especially since the shoulders are open, or skip it and just stick with bridge pose. That's what I'm doing. Press into the feet, lift the hips up, bridge pose. Interlace those fingers if it's working. Lift and spread the chest. An alternative to interlacing the fingers that I really love is grabbing the outer edges of the mat. That helps you get the arms pressing down so you can lift the chest. And that's what we're looking for. Keep those knees straight forward, so don't let them splay out. Inner thighs and outer thighs are pressing into one another. That's what helps keep the knees forward. Take one more inhale wherever you are. Exhale brings you back down to the mat. If you're on a block, lift up, set the block off to the side, rest here. And then we'll cross at the ankles, grab onto the knees and bring the knees in. So feet are hooked, doesn't matter which one's on top. And then you can rock side to side. This is such a nice way to open up the lower back after back bends. That's really gentle rather than jamming your knees all the way into the chest. It's too much of a counter, too fast. Switch the hooking of the feet, bring the other foot on top. And it's like you're trying to pull the knees apart, but you can't because the feet are hooked. And that's where you get that space in the lower back that you'll feel behind the hips on the mat. All right, set the feet back down to the mat. Hug the right knee in toward the chest. Extend the left leg out in front of you. Right knee crosses over the body. You have to shift to get onto the side of the left hip. So we want the hips stacked. Right arm reaches back behind you. If this bothers your lower back, bring the knees together. You don't have to do the one knee. But if it feels fine, just do the one knee. Gaze can fall over that right arm. And that right arm is extended out in line of the shoulder, or you could bend at the elbow. And you can feel the difference when you do that. It puts more weight on the shoulder. And for some of us, that feels good. You'll start to come back to center, walk both feet in. This time, bring the left knee in toward the chest. Extend the right leg out in front of you. And cross that left knee over the body. Shift onto the side of the right hip so you get it underneath you. Left arm extends out. Maybe the gaze falls over the left shoulder. So for most of us, that left knee is not touching anything. It's just floating. It's the inner edge of that left foot somewhere down the mat, probably closer to the big toe. And you'll come back to center, walk the feet in, you're on your back. Roll over to your right side and use the hands to bring yourself up to seated. Legs extended out in front of you as you're seated. Grab onto the back of the left thigh and bring the knee out to the side. Sole of the foot comes inside of the right leg. And then reach the arms up, center the chest with the right toes. Fold over the leg, Janu Shirshasana. So I'll give you some options with the arms. You could take this left hand and bring it outside of the right foot. Right hand can go outside the shoulder. So you're just on the fingertips. And then you can start to fold forward. Elbows kind of flare out depending on how far away that foot is. But the right elbow is definitely flaring out. Head comes down toward the knee. And if you can't reach the foot, skip this. It's not a big deal. Just let the hands rest down on something, the mat, the leg, blocks, whatever you have. And slowly come back up to center. Use the left hand to bring the knee back to center. Extend that left leg. Grab onto the back of the right thigh. Bring that knee out to the right. Sole of the foot inside the left leg. Reach the arms up. Center the chest with the left toes. Fold forward over this left leg. Right hand can go outside of the right foot. Left hand outside of the shoulder, maybe up on fingertips, and then you pull the elbows out as you fold down toward the knee. And if that arm variation isn't working, then the hands just come down to the mat or whatever's right underneath you, but let them touch something they're not continuing to reach. I did this the other day with an online class with Tiffany Cruikshank, and it felt so good. I really wanted to share it with you. Slowly come back up to seated. Use this right hand to bring the right knee back to center, extending the leg out in front of you. Reach the arms all the way up. Fold down over the legs. Paschimottanasana. One last seated forward fold. So one last time to come in. Open up the back side of the body. Same thing here. You want the hands to touch the mat, legs, feet maybe if they're right there. But you're not using the shoulders to get to the feet. So if you have to reach so much that the shoulders are going way up, then it's too far. Straps also really nice too. Can loop the soles of the feet and do it that way and just pull back on the strap. All right, let's come back up to seated. Coming into stillness, you can come into a seated meditation or all the way down onto your back for Shavasana, whichever one sounds like it would set you up for a better day. Usually one's calling more than the other. And as you close the eyes, take one more big breath in through the nose. Hold it at the very top. Sip in a little bit more air through the mouth. And exhale into stillness. You'll start to deepen the breath if you're lying down on your back. If you're in your seated meditation, just stay still, stay there. If you're on your back, start to find some movement in the hands and the feet. Then stretch the arms overhead. Start to wake yourself up again. Coming back into your body, back into your day. Walk the feet in, bending the legs. And you'll roll on over to your right side. Stay there for a moment. Cradle the head in the arm. Keep the eyes closed. Then use the left hand to press yourself up to your easy cross-legged meditation seat or whatever shape makes the most sense for you for your meditation. Enjoying this place of clarity and this feeling of being at home within yourself. Bring the hands together in front of you. Maintain the lift of the chest as you bow the head, taking a moment to honor and acknowledge your heart and spirit, as well as everyone around you. Bring the head back up, blink open the eyes. Namaste. Thanks so much.